December winds howled through the San Juan Mountains like the devil's own breath. Inside his crude cabin, Caleb Morrison heard boots crunching through snow. 4 sets, light steps, but desperate ones. He'd been alone for 3 years. 3 years since the army cast him out for refusing to burn an Apache village. 3 years of guilt eating at his bones like winter cold. The knock came soft. Then a voice, clear as mountain air. "I know what you did at Hawks Canyon." Caleb's hand froze on his Winchester. Outside stood a woman, maybe 28, with coal-black hair and eyes that held secrets. Behind her, 3 others, all Apache, all watching him with the patience of predators. "My husband was Chief Mongas," she said, stepping closer. "You saved his people. Now I need saving." Her dress clung to curves that made his mouth go dry. Snow melted on her dark skin like tears. "I'll trade myself for shelter. One night, all of us safe." What choice did a man with blood on his conscience have? Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more untold tales of the American frontier. Caleb stepped back, heart hammering against his ribs. 4 Apache women in his doorway meant one thing: trouble riding hard behind them. The leader, Ayanna, she called herself, moved like water, fluid and certain. The others stayed silent. An older woman with warrior's scars, a girl barely grown with a swollen belly, and another who wouldn't meet his eyes. "No bargain needed," Caleb said, though his voice cracked like old leather. "Get inside." Ayanna tilted her head, studying him. "White men don't give without taking." "I'm not most white men." She smiled then, slow and dangerous. "We'll see." The cabin felt smaller with them in it. Ayanna's dress, torn at the shoulder, revealed the smooth line of her collarbone. When she bent to tend the fire, fabric pulled tight across her hips. Caleb forced himself to look away. The pregnant girl, Senna, collapsed onto his bedroll with a soft moan. Blood stained her moccasins. The older woman, Kaya, positioned herself by the window like a sentinel. The silent one, Nita, curled in the corner, trembling. "How far behind are they?" Caleb asked. "Half day, maybe less." Ayanna's voice carried no fear, only calculation. "German traders from Durango claim we stole horses. Did you?" Her laugh held no humor. "We defended ourselves. Apparently that's theft now." Caleb knew the type. Settlers who'd shoot a dog for sport and call it protecting property. He'd seen enough blood spilled over stolen horses that turned out to be wild mustangs or fair trades gone sour. "You can't run in this snow," he said, not with her ready to drop. As if summoned by his words, Senna cried out, clutching her belly. Ayanna was beside her instantly, murmuring in Apache, hands gentle but sure. "The baby's coming," Ayanna said, meeting Caleb's eyes. "Tonight." Outside, wind rattled the shutters like skeleton fingers. Inside, a woman prepared to bring life into a world that wanted her dead. Caleb had delivered foals and calves, but never a human child, never under these circumstances. He heated water, found clean cloth, tried not to think about the men who'd come looking. Hours crawled by. Senna's breathing turned ragged. Nita held her hand while Kaya stood guard, and Ayanna. She moved between them all, like a dance, commanding without words, protecting without weapons. "Tell me about Hawks Canyon," she said during a quiet moment. Caleb's jaw tightened. "Nothing to tell." "There is." She stepped closer, close enough he could smell sage in her hair. "My husband spoke of a white soldier who refused orders, who warned our scouts about the night raid." The memory hit him like a fist. Colonel Hayes screaming orders to burn everything. Caleb seeing children's faces in the firelight and knowing he couldn't live with what came next. "Got me court-martialed," he said. "Got my people time to run." Her hand touched his arm, soft as a whisper. "Some of them lived because of you." Before he could respond, Senna screamed. Real pain now, the kind that tore through flesh and soul alike. Ayanna knelt between her legs, speaking low and steady. "I need you," she told Caleb. So he knelt too, this broken soldier and this Apache woman, delivering new life while death hunted outside their door. When the baby crowned, slick and perfect, Caleb caught the small body in his scarred hands. A daughter. Senna wept as Ayanna cleaned the child, wrapped her in Caleb's cleanest shirt. The baby's cry pierced the night like hope itself. "She'll need a name," Ayanna said. Senna looked at Caleb through exhausted eyes. "Paloma," she whispered, "for the dove that led us here." Dawn broke gray and cold. Through the window, Caleb spotted riders on the ridge. 5 men, maybe 6, picking their way down the slope. German voices carried on the wind, harsh and demanding. Kaya's grip tightened on her knife. Nita shrank deeper into the shadows. Even baby Paloma seemed to sense the danger, her cries fading to whispers. Ayanna stood beside Caleb at the window, her shoulder brushing his. "They'll want to search the cabin. Then we make sure they don't find what they're looking for," Caleb said. Her dark eyes found his. "What are you thinking?" "Something that'll probably get us both killed." He turned to face her full, saw the way morning light caught the gold flecks in her irises. "You said you'd trade yourself for shelter." Understanding flickered across her features. "I did." "Then let's give them a story they'll believe." The riders were close now. Close enough to see the smoke from his chimney, the tracks in the snow. Close enough to start asking questions Caleb wasn't ready to answer. Unless he had a different kind of answer waiting, the knock came like thunder. Caleb smoothed his hair, checked his reflection in the window glass. Behind him, 3 Apache women had vanished. Kaya into the root cellar, Senna and baby Paloma under the bed, Nita behind stacked firewood. Only Ayanna remained visible, and the sight of her made his breath catch. She'd torn her dress further, letting it slip off one shoulder entirely. Dark hair fell loose around her face. When she moved to answer the door beside him, her hip pressed against his thigh with deliberate intimacy. "Remember," she whispered, "I'm yours now." The door opened to reveal Klaus Müller, the German trader, flanked by 4 hard-faced men. Klaus had the look of a man who'd never worked a day, but paid others to do violence in his name. "Morrison," Klaus said, eyes sweeping past Caleb to fix on Ayanna. "We track horse thieves. Trail leads here." Caleb kept his voice steady. "No thieves here. Just me and my woman." Klaus stepped closer, studying Ayanna like she was horseflesh at auction. "This Apache whore, she is yours?" The word hit Caleb like a slap, but Ayanna's hand on his arm kept him steady. She moved forward, letting her dress slide lower, revealing the curve of her breast. "I belong to him," she said, voice husky with implied invitation. "He treats me, well..." One of Klaus's men licked his lips. "Mighty fine squaw, Morrison. You share?" Heat flooded Caleb's vision. Before he could move, Ayanna pressed herself against his side, her hand finding the gun on his hip. "He doesn't share what's his," she purred. "Do you, my love?" The endearment sent electricity through his veins. Her fingers traced the metal of his Colt, a gesture both sensual and warning. Klaus's eyes narrowed. "We search cabin. Make sure no stolen horse is hidden." "Search all you want," Caleb said, "but touch what's mine and we'll have words." The men spread through his small space like vultures. They poked through his supplies, kicked at his furniture. One opened the root cellar, but Kaya had wedged herself deep among the potato sacks. Another checked under the bed, where Senna lay motionless, baby Paloma drugged with opium tea to keep her silent. Through it all, Ayanna played her part perfect. She fetched Klaus water, letting him see down the front of her dress. She bent to stoke the fire, fabric pulling tight across her backside. When one man got too close, she shrank against Caleb, like a woman seeking protection. "You have no other Apache here?" Klaus asked. "Just her," Caleb said, his arm tightening around Ayanna's waist. "Found her, wandering near Silverton. Needed a woman for the winter." Klaus studied them both. Something flickered in his pale eyes, suspicion or maybe just disappointment at finding no stolen horses. These thieves, they had children with them. Baby crying in the night. Caleb felt Ayanna tense against him. Under the bed, Paloma remained silent as death. "Ain't heard no baby," Caleb said. "Sound carries funny in these mountains. Might have been a cat." "Yeah, perhaps." Klaus backed toward the door. "You see Apache women? You tell authorities. Reward posted in Durango." "I'll keep that in mind." After they left, Caleb waited a full hour before speaking. Ayanna stayed pressed against him, both of them listening for hoofbeats. When silence finally settled, she stepped away. The loss of her warmth hit him like winter wind. Kaya emerged from the cellar, Nita from the woodpile. Senna crawled out with baby Paloma, who mewed softly in the returning light. All of them alive, all of them safe, for now. "That was well done," Kaya said, first words she'd spoken to Caleb directly. Ayanna smoothed her dress, trying to restore some modesty. The gesture seemed almost shy after her bold performance. "They'll be back," she said. "Men like that don't give up easy." Caleb nodded. "We need a better plan. Something more permanent." "You could turn us in," Ayanna said quietly. "Collect the reward. Start fresh somewhere else." The suggestion hit him like a physical blow. "Is that what you think of me?" She met his eyes, searching. "I don't know what to think. You saved us today, but tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll do it again." The words came out harder than he meant. And the day after that, something shifted in her expression. The mask she'd worn for Klaus's men fell away, revealing uncertainty underneath. Why? Because watching her play, the seductress had awakened something in him he'd thought dead. Because the way she'd said, "my love," had felt more real than any truth he'd known. Because holding her against him had made him remember what it meant to protect something worth keeping. "Because it's right," he said instead. Outside, snow began to fall again. Inside, 4 Apache women settled into his space like they belonged there. And maybe, Caleb thought, watching Ayanna tend to baby Paloma with gentle hands, maybe they did. The question was whether he could keep them safe long enough to find out. 2 weeks later, the lie had become something else entirely. Ayanna moved through his cabin like she'd always been there. She cooked meals that tasted of home, mended his clothes with careful stitches, and at night she slept beside him on his narrow bed, her body warm against his in the mountain cold. The others had found their place too. Kaya taught him Apache words while she worked. Nita, no longer silent, hummed lullabies to baby Paloma. Senna grew stronger daily, her laughter returning. It felt like family, felt like something worth dying for, which was good, because dying might be exactly what came next. Caleb spotted the dust cloud at noon, 5 riders approaching fast from the east. Federal badges glinted in the winter sun. "Marshals," he said, lowering his spyglass. Ayanna stood beside him, baby Paloma in her arms. How many? 5. Led by Henderson. Marshal Wade Henderson was federal law incarnate, cold, methodical, and utterly without mercy for Apache criminals. Inside, the cabin erupted in controlled chaos. Senna and Nita headed for the back door, but Kaya blocked their path. Too late, she said, checking her rifle. They've got the canyon mouth covered. Through the window, Caleb saw 2 marshals breaking off to circle behind. Professional. Thorough. They know we're all here, Ayanna said quietly. Caleb's jaw tightened. No clever legal tricks would save them now. Henderson had come for blood. The knock came like a gunshot. Morrison, federal marshals, open up. Caleb cracked the door. Winchester ready. Henderson stood on the porch with 3 men behind him, all armed, all watching. Marshal, Caleb nodded. Step aside. We're taking the Apache women. What women? Henderson's smile held no warmth. The 4 fugitives, Klaus Muller, identified. Horse thieves and killers. Behind Caleb, he heard the soft click of Kaya's rifle hammer. In the corner, Nita clutched Paloma closer. Senna's breathing came short and fast. I don't know what you're talking about, Caleb said. Step aside. Henderson's hand moved toward his gun. His men shifted, ready. The world slowed to heartbeats. Caleb saw it all in an instant. The marshals' positions, the angles of fire, the distance to cover. 5 against 5, but 3 of his were women. 1 barely recovered from childbirth. No, Caleb said. Henderson drew fast, but Caleb was faster. The Winchester barked, and the marshal spun backward, clutching his shoulder. Chaos erupted. Gunfire exploded from every direction. Caleb dove left as bullets splintered the doorframe. Behind him, Kaya's rifle cracked once, twice. A marshal screamed, Nita, get down! Ayanna shouted. But Nita was already moving, carrying Paloma toward the root cellar. A bullet shattered the window above her head. Glass rained down like deadly snow. Senna, despite her weakness, grabbed Caleb's old army pistol. I won't go back, she whispered, then louder, fierce. I won't. Caleb rolled behind the overturned table, returning fire. 2 marshals were down. Henderson still moved, blood streaming from his shoulder, trying to flank around the cabin. Kaya rose from behind the stove, rifle aimed, and a gunshot cracked from outside. She jerked, crimson blossoming across her shirt, and fell hard. Kaya! Nita screamed, the first word she'd spoken above a whisper in months. The sound broke something in the cabin. Nita's voice, raw with anguish, echoed off the walls like a battle cry. Ayanna was beside Kaya instantly, pressing cloth against the wound. Stay with us, she whispered. Henderson appeared in the doorway, gun raised. Enough! Caleb swung his Winchester around, but Henderson was already squeezing the trigger. Senna stepped into the line of fire. The bullet took her high in the chest. She stumbled backward, eyes wide with surprise, then crumpled beside the cradle where her daughter had been born. No! Ayanna's scream tore through the silence. Henderson's gun turned toward her. Caleb had 1 shot, 1 chance. The Winchester roared. Henderson dropped like a stone. Silence fell like a curtain. Gun smoke hung heavy in the cabin air. Outside, wounded marshals groaned and cursed. Inside, the cost became clear. Senna lay still, blood pooling beneath her. Kaya breathed in, short, pained gasps. Nita knelt beside Paloma, rocking and crying and speaking all at once, words pouring out like a broken dam. She's gone, Ayanna whispered, her hands bloody from trying to save Senna. She's gone. Caleb looked around his cabin, at the shattered windows, the bullet holes, the women who'd trusted him to keep them safe. He'd failed. The law would send more men. They'd all hang now. Unless... Gather what you can carry. he said quietly. We leave in 10 minutes. Where? Kaya gasped from the floor. Caleb helped Ayanna lift her, wrapping the wound tight. Mexico. I know people there. Apache people. Nita stood, still holding Paloma, her voice stronger now, despite the tears. What about Senna? They couldn't bury her. No time. But they couldn't leave her for Henderson's men to desecrate. Ayanna touched Senna's face gently, then began pulling boards from the floor. She stays in the cabin she chose, she said. We burn it all. So they did. Loaded supplies on Caleb's horses, wrapped Kaya tight against the cold, and rode out as orange flames consumed the only home they'd known. Behind them, smoke rose like prayers into the winter sky. Ahead lay exile, uncertainty, a future written in blood and hope. But they rode together. And that, Caleb thought, as Ayanna's hand found his in the darkness, was something the law could never take away. 6 months later, when spring painted the San Juan Mountains green, Ayanna Morrison stood on her porch, watching her husband fix the gate. Real husband now, in every sense that mattered. Paloma crawled between them, blue eyes bright with mischief, calling them both Mama and Papa without distinction. The baby had no memory of the night she was born in fear. She knew only love, warmth, the safety of being wanted. Letters came sometimes, carried by Apache runners. Kaya had found her people. Nita spoke again, teaching children their native language in a reservation school, all of them free. The townspeople of Durango whispered, of course. Some said Caleb Morrison had lost his mind, marrying an Apache. Others claimed she'd bewitched him with savage magic. A few admired his courage in taking a woman others wouldn't touch. Caleb didn't care about any of it. What mattered was the way Ayanna sang in Apache while she cooked, how she laughed when he tried to pronounce the words correctly. What mattered was Paloma's first steps, taken between their outstretched arms. What mattered was lying awake some nights, talking about the future they were building together. Do you ever regret it? Ayanna asked one evening, her head on his shoulder. Which part? Leaving the army, saving us, marrying me. Caleb considered this. 3 years of isolation had nearly broken him. Guilt over Hawks Canyon had eaten at his soul like acid. But the night 4 Apache women appeared at his door, he'd started living again. I regret waiting so long to find you, he said. She tilted her face up to his, eyes soft in the firelight. We found each other when we were supposed to. Maybe that was true. Maybe everything, the court-martial, the exile, the years of loneliness, had been leading to that December night when desperation brought love, disguised as necessity. Outside, mountain wind whispered through the pines. Inside, a man who'd lost everything learned what it meant to be found. In Ayanna's arms, holding their adopted daughter, Caleb Morrison discovered what he'd been searching for without knowing it. A place to belong, a reason to hope, a love worth every risk they'd taken to claim it. If this story moved you, check out more untold tales of the American frontier. Sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones history forgot to write down.